41 and 42. The McNabb boys didn't know whom they did expect Maniac to bring to the party, but one thing for sure, they did not expect him to come walking through the front door with a black kid. And that was only half of it. From the way the kid swaggered in, from the candy bar that jutted from like a chocolate stogie from the corner of his mouth, from the ripstone evil scowl on his face, the kid had to be none other than Mars Bar Thompson himself. If black meant bad, if black meant in-your-face nastiness, if black meant as far from whites as you could get, then Mars Bar Thompson was the blackest of the black. Here, in the middle of the living room, stopping the party, the neighborhood kids, the Cobras, even George McNabb stopping them dead as traffic. Just walking in through the front door, the steel door, breeze right on in, past the bar, standing there, I own this jointing there, before they knew what was happening. Before anyone could reach for anything, which of course is just what Maniac had in mind. Remembering how little Grayson had known about black people and black homes, thinking of the McNabbs' wrong-headed notions, thinking of Mars Bar's knee-jerk reaction to anyone wearing white skin, and thinking, naturally, what else would you expect? Whites never go inside blacks' homes, much less inside their thoughts and feelings, and blacks are just as ignorant as whites. What white kid could hate blacks after spending 5 minutes in the Beals home? And what black kid could hate whites after answering Miss Pickwell's dinner whistle? But the East Enders stayed in the East, and the West Enders stayed in the West. And the less they knew about each other, the more they invented. It hadn't been easy, finding Mars Bars, taking all lip about cheating on his race, taking some bumps, some shoves. Mars goaded him to fighting, but keeping his own cool, matching Mars Bar's glare for glare, telling him he wasn't as bad as he thought he was, really stoking him now, making him slam his candy bar to the ground. No? You want to tell me why I ain't so bad, fish? Go ahead, before I waste ya. Chest to chest. Keeping cool, letting Mars do all the huffing. Simple. You don't cross Hector. You stay over there where it's safe. How bad would you be over there? Stepping back. How bad would you be over there? Stepping back then, folding his arms, smugging it up just enough, standing there in his white skin, gazing nonchalantly about 6 blocks deep in the heart of the black side. Guess what makes me better than you? They did not go straight to the McNabbs. First, they went to the Pickwells. Maniac wanted Mars Bars to see the best the West End had to offer. The little Pickwells made as much fuss over Mars Bar as over Maniac. They believed, as did all little kids in the West End, that he carried 100 Mars Bars with him at all times. Not surprisingly, Mrs. Pickwell never batted an eye when she saw who was coming to dinner. It was quite a sight, all right. 16 Pickwells plus Maniac, plus a down-and-out golf caddy, 18 so-called white faces and Mars Bars Thompson. To his credit, Mars Bar didn't use the word fish belly or hunky once, though on one occasion he did bend the truth a mite. When a Pickwell kid asked him if it was true about the famous race in April, did Maniac really beat him going backwards? Mars Bar studied his fork for a minute and said, yeah, he went backward, but you got the story wrong. It wasn't me he beat. It was my brother Milky Way. The little kids couldn't understand why. The grown-ups laughed for 5 minutes after that. As for Mars Bar himself, his expression never changed until the dinner was almost over, when the littlest non-baby Pickwell, Dolly, called him Mr. Bar, and even then it wasn't so much a smile as a crack in the glare. Even if Mars wasn't letting on, Maniac could tell he was pleased to learn his fame had spread to the West. When they left, half the Pickwell kids followed them, begging Mars to perform his legendary feat of stopping traffic. Don't, Maniac warned. It might not work over here. But the Pickwells persisted, and when they reached Marshall Street, Mars Bar commanded, stay here and step into the traffic. Not only did he shamble, jibe, shuck, and hippodoodle at his own pace, he did something he had never done before in the East End. He came to a complete and utter halfway across and let nothing but the evil in his eyes take care of the rest. He stood like that for 1 full minute. By the time he finally moved on to the far side, so the legend goes, 23 cars, several bicycles, and a bus were stacked to a dead stop in both directions. Maniac hurried across while the Pickwells stood at the curb, cheering and waving goodbye. But no one was cheering now in Fort McNabb, and Maniac knew that, desperate, despite the swagger and the scowl and the chocolate stogie, Mars Bar Thompson was one uneasy dude. Chapter 42. George McNabb was the first to speak up. He was stretched out on the only piece of furniture in the house, a tilt-back lounge chair. Said McNabb, "What's he doing here?" The awkward silence that followed was mercifully broken by Piper tugging on Maniac's arm. "Where's my birthday present? What'd you get me?" Maniac pulled the present from his pocket. Piper exclaimed, "A watch?" "No," said Maniac, "a compass. It tells you which direction you're going." "Like to the ocean?" asked Russell. "The ocean, Mexico, anywhere in the world. Only one thing." "What's that?" Maniac took the compass from Piper's hand. "I'm keeping it till school's over. If you go every day, both of you, then you can have it back and sail around the world." "On our own raft?" Piper cheered. "Is it a deal?" Piper, Russell, and Maniac did a three-way high five. "It's a deal." George McNabb pulled himself up from the easy chair and shuffled into the kitchen. He wore bare-backed slippers over bare feet. His white ankles were dirty. He took a beer can from the fridge and headed for the steps. Maniac could feel the voltage that surged from Mars bar and crackled black lightning from his eyes. Quickly, he clapped his hand. "Hey, isn't this a party? Where are the games?" So they played games, silly games, whose main objective seemed to be shrieking and screaming. Mars bar allowed himself to be dragged into them, but his jaw was clenched and his eyes kept straying to the gaping hole in the ceiling, and to the Cobras, who were slouching against the walls and baseboards, sipping beers and watching its every move. None of them had spoken since Mars and Maniac walked in. Of course, as far as the little kids were concerned, the highlights of the whole party was not the birthday boy, Piper McNabb, but the McNabb's new pillbox. They found every excuse to stay inside it. They fought over space in the narrow gunnery slots. When Mars Bar whispered to Maniac, "What is that?" Maniac said it was a bomb shelter. Then Russell called, "Let's play rebels." Whites in the pillbox, blacks outside. A cheer went up, and a dozen kids stampeded into the pillbox. They grappled, circled the cinder blocks walls, and popped from the gunnery slots. "I'm going to be white." "I'm white too." "Me too." "Too many in here. We need more blacks." "Not me. Not me. We ain't got enough guns." "Only the ones with the guns are in. The rest of you get out. You're black." "Give me a gun." "I had it first." "Come on, you meatballs. Black's in the best part. You get to charge." "Yeah, we get to lose." "Look, you can use beer cans for grenades. You can lob grenades. Then you do it." "Well, somebody got to be black, or else we ain't playing. I'm counting. Time I hit 10, I want to see 5 of you out of here." "One," Russell counted. No one came up. Not at 9, not at 10, not after 10. Maniac and Mars Bar stared in silence at the gunnery slots, where wide open eyes began to appear, one pair on top of another. The three words that Mars Bar sneered, the joke that he spat out, "Yeah, bomb shelter," did not even have the moment to themselves. For just then another word, "Geronimo!" came plunging from the sky and landing with a floor-jarring, heart-stopping crash directly behind him. A cobra had jumped from the hole, a flat, red-haired cobra who was now rolling on the floor and laughing so hard, as were all the cobras, that his face matched the color of his hair. "You see him? You see him jump? I never see his face. Somebody check out his pants. Check out his drawers. Oh, man, oh." Maniac had to wrap Mars Bar in a bear hug to keep him from charging the fat red roller. The laughter stopped as if cut by scissors. The Cobras were standing. John McNabb sauntered forward. "You got a problem, Sonny?" "That wasn't funny, John," said Maniac. "He could have been hurt." McNabb kept his eyes on Mars Bar. "I ain't talking to you, Maniac. I'm talking to Sonny here. Don't you like our party, Sonny boy?" Mars Bar strained against Maniac's arms. "You ain't got to worry about me coming to no more of your parties, fish belly. And you ain't got to worry about me invading this piss hole. Anybody coming to a block away, they faint from the smell." McNabb advanced. Maniac shouted, "John, you owe me one. I brought the boys back." McNabb took another step and stayed. The Cobras stayed, and Maniac clamped and struggled Mars Bar for dear life, lugging him down a gauntlet of seething eyes to the door to the street. Mars Bar wrenched free and stomped on ahead. Maniac followed. It was almost dark. High above, the streetlights were buzzing on, one by one. After several blocks, Mars Bar wheeled. "You suckered me. You softened me up with them pick peoples, then bring me over here? What did you think? I was going to cry? Okay, I come over. I did it. It's done. And don't you be coming around no more. You hear me, fish? Because you ain't only see me half bad yet." He turned and headed due west. Maniac walked another way. It was a good question. What had he thought? What had he expected? A miracle? Well, come to think of it, maybe one had happened. While he was looking for one miracle, maybe another had snuck up on him. It happened as he clamped and lugged Marshbar down the gauntlet of cobras, trying to keep him alive. And what was Marshbar doing? Fighting him? Maniac, straining to get loose and bust some cobras? Outnumbered, outweighted, but not outhearted. That's when Maniac felt it. Pride for the East End warrior, whom Maniac could feel trembling in his arms, scared as any normal kid would be, but not showing it to them. Yeah, you're bad, all right, Marsbar. You're more than bad. You're good. Maniac stopped. He had been walking in circles. It was dark. He turned one way, then another for the briefest moment, thinking to go home. Thinking, it's time to go home now. Then remembering that once again, he had no home to go to.